I think we are live. Or at least we should be. So I'll get you guys a little rundown for anybody that's just hopping on in. Today's been a pretty crazy day. All right. And I think today not that many people will get a notification. It might be a bit quiet here, but that's all right. Because when the market's this hot, there's so much to cover. There's so much to just look at. There's so much to admire that sometimes it don't matter if only the loyal ones show up. You know, I don't really mind too much sometimes. And today is one of those days. Bitcoin up tremendously. Ethereum back 4,700. XRP. Ooh, let's refresh this for a second because it's actually a little bit outdated. Here we go. $3. It was just $3.17. Right now back to $3.16. I see John is in the chat. Hello, John. So, Tether, of course, still stable at $1. We hope that's going to stay that way. Solana, 242. BNB, 940. These numbers are just absolutely insane. And you want to know the funny thing again? I've still bought even more. A lot of people will call me stupid for it, and I get you. But I'm buying the top very often. Why? Because I don't think we are at the end of the phase just quite yet. There is some uncertainty around one specific event happening in a few days, obviously the FOMC. And by the way, I'm going to switch from a sweater to a t-shirt. Give me a little second to find some. Let's go for this. Here we go. This should be good enough. Why? I don't know. I feel like today is t-shirt. How do you call this? It's not going to be well, you'll see. Don't worry. I'm going to switch from two things to one thing that's a bit lighter. All right? I feel like doing that, so. There we go. All right. We got ourselves a little bit different. There we go. I feel like wearing this today. All right. So, what has the market been doing in general? Just mostly upwards. And I'm going to quickly insert the chat here. Pop out chat. There we go. So if you're stopping by and saying hi, just say something in the chat right there. It's only been John thus far. John, you're a freaking legend for being the only one who shows up. We've got about 35 people watching. Again, I don't think most people are going to be getting the notification, and it's extremely early for where I usually stream. But, hey, it's all good in the hood. So out of all the coins, which one's been doing the craziest of numbers? Well, the real main one is Dogecoin. And I still find it so particular that I've been screaming this at the top of my lungs for the past couple of days, and so many people like to go against it, right? What have I been screaming? Solana, Dogecoin. Those are my two main ones. What have been the side bets? Pump Fund, which I don't know how it's been doing. Let's quickly take a look. Let's go take a look at this. It's not even in the top. Oh, Pepe is also starting to come back. By the way, do y'all remember? I have a Pepe long open somewhere. Here, my Pepe long, fun fact, $30,000 is still minus 7,000. Like, Pepe is doing good and all, but relative to where it was before, it's not really that staggering just quite yet. We wanted to do some even crazier numbers here. This is nice, but not that nice. Anyway, let's do a little update on the trades, I guess, huh? XRP trade from, when was it? 2 days ago? Half 2 days ago and half a little bit yesterday. It's up roughly $22,000. So that's pretty good. On $15,000 we put in, 15,000 XP we put in, it's up 7,000 XRP, 50%, pretty good. BTC has been running for a long time, as you can see. We only put $3,000 in and we are up roughly 35. ADA, I didn't even know I had an ADA position where we put a 40K in, 3.7K in, roughly a $40,000 trade. It's up $11,000. I'm not adding to this anymore, though. The only thing I'm adding to when it comes to like ADA and stuff like that is my bots. I opened another bot yesterday, 1 day ago and 9 hours ago. 10,000 ADA we put in. It's up 800 ADA because I'm doing a coin margin right now. And I realized, do you know how much I've paid for this XRP position? This one, the $1.1 million position. It's so ridiculously much that I realized I'm better off also making sure that I just, whenever I do, I add to the XRP coin margin bot or XRP positions, because relatively to the amount of income it makes, this is just so much cheaper, right? By the way, the 40,000 XRP we put in is up roughly 3,000 XRP over the past also 2 days, I'm going to call it, because you can see we put a lot of XRP in right here. I think right around this area here, maybe even later. And it was at a loss for most of its duration, and right now it's finally starting to pick itself back up. We already cashed out 1,000 XRP. Right now it's cashing out about I'm going to say 70 XRP a day, maybe slightly more than that. And the trend P&L is also nice. Even though we opened this bot at 345, even now at 315, we are still in profit. And today, what is my plan? Well, I'm just letting y'all know, because you're watching the stream, there's a few things which I'm going to do. One is I'm actually going to be taking some of the BNB I've got over on Binance and some different platforms and switch it over into bots. I'm also going to take a few hundred Solana out of some DeFi protocol and put it back into bots. You might say, why? Well, because I realized as long as I'm not overdoing it with the leverage, in this case here, it's 280 SOL. It's only acting as 360. It's not that deep. As long as I keep my price range quite low, you know, the bottom quite low, it's only going to really leverage into it quite low down there. And I think Solana can easily go to $1,000 this cycle. I need to stack as much Solana as humanly possible. 240 is huge for where we've been relatively. But overall, Solana here is not really that great. And the same thing applies to Dogecoin. I keep thinking, man, if only I made a greater Dogecoin bot. I only put 8,000 Doge in, so roughly, let's see, roughly $2,000. And I have another, I think, $6,000 Dogecoin bots somewhere. Let's quickly go take a little bit of a look. I think at the start somewhere I opened this up. Let's see here real quick. I only have, let's see here. Oh yeah, $6,500 times 5, so about a $30,000 bot. It's up $10,000, pretty cool and all, but it could have been way more. I've got some positions, sure. Here is the Dogecoin position. Let's see. We put $1,000 in, and it's up roughly 19,000, so that's pretty good. And I opened a new one yesterday, like I said. I put $10,000 of a trade. It's up $700 since yesterday. So that's also pretty nice, but still it could be significantly better, right? We're up 220% on the trade, but it's only $300. So yeah, but this proves my point though of what I said before. People can really scale their portfolios in a pretty short amount of time based on trades like this. $300 in, and now we are sitting at $1,000 in just, let's see. I don't know how many hours this has been. Maybe let's call it 16 hours. We tripled our entire portfolio then if we only had $300 in, what, 16 hours? Hot Sparky says we need a crystal ball. Everybody, if you're watching this right now, let me know in the chat where you're watching from. 3 Digits says, hey, Dusty, why is everyone obsessed with bots now? I miss TA. So if you watched my yesterday's stream, we had my one of my core analysts actually come on in to give his analysis. And probably later today, if you guys want, my analyst will come back in again and give his thoughts on the market. He does pure TA and actually is a scalper, so trades on the really, really short term. And we thought of doing more of those scalps live as well. So we set everything up for that, but it might take another few days. And the reason I like bots so much is because when you start breaking it down, the amount of money I've paid on having these positions open, the amount of waste I've had by not trading it all the time, because I mostly let them sit, is, well, it's wasteful. And I realized with the bots, they keep stacking. And relatively to anything that I've ever found in my life, these ones have been the most profitable, quote unquote, endeavor thus far. So why do I cover it? Because it's super, super simple. It's hard to lose. And I can use a lot of money in it. Whereas with these, if I open a $10 million position, right, it's going to take a lot of fucking funding fees every single day. It's going to cost me, I think, like, yeah, let's say $10,000 a day or something like that. Maybe. I'm just talking maybe. Can I still make it worth it? Yes, for sure. But it will be very much worth it if I keep buying and selling. And as you can see from the history here, I make one purchase or one sale every like major swing. For example, here we bought a good chunk back at the 2nd of September. And here we sold a little bit the 12th of September. Why? To just pay for some of the funding. But I should be doing that significantly more if I really want to benefit from it. And since I don't really want to, I just like to kind of have them open. I've realized the bots have better ROIs on them. In general, specifically because I'm doing the coin margin ones now, which I'm also doing over on Bybit. So again, I do double. But the thing is, even if I take a look at XRP right now, just purely from a TA perspective, purely from a most important level perspective, let me give you guys an overview of what my analyst sent me here. Let me quickly see if I can find it. I always get reports multiple times throughout the day. Let me see if I can find one of them. Let's do the technical report of today. Let me see. We have global crypto report. We have technical report. Here we go. So, ETH, XRP, BTC are more are looking extremely bullish to a perspective. BTC USD firmly broke through 4-hour 200 EMA. Let me quickly grab these charts then. I still have a few charts open here. Let me also move these things around. So, over on the 4-hour, in this case 4-hour, we actually, 𝗕𝗏𝗲𝗀𝗡? Like, okay, let me just refresh this, I guess. Maybe a different one. There we go. So this is Solana, but it doesn't really matter. If we take a look at EMA here, we have a lot of EMAs in here, though. Let's go take a look at the 200 EMA, and we make it a little bit more obvious. We make it, let's do pink, and we make it thick boy. And let's make it thick and straight. There we go. All right, so we got our thick boy. He was saying now that BTC USD firmly broke through 4-hour 200 EMA, and XRP USD firmly broke through 200 EMA. I guess Solana has been trading above there for a while now already. Let's go take a look at XRP USD. XRP USD. I'll take a look at it over on. Let's do Coinbase here for a second. So let's see. This is the 1 day. This is the 4-hour. So here we broke through it a while back. Things are quite strong in that sense. I'm not so sure if he's talking about the 200 weekly EMA or the 204-hour EMA. I'm guessing he's talking about chart. So let's skip it at that. But this is not something I personally care about too much. Relatively, I understand why people would, but it's not something I care about too much. I care more about the news side of things and the understanding that, well, if there's many DATs right now, these digital asset treasury companies buying in, and we got XRP ETF, Dogecoin ETF, all this makes sense for the buy pressure to be at the top, at peak. Sure, we can say that the trend has shifted from mostly downtrend to uptrend. I can definitely, right, give you guys the seal of approval on that. Oh, damn. Sometimes I still get shocked just looking at these positions, though. It really does something to you. To think that this was all at basically nothing just a few months ago, because I just started a few months ago, and the fact that things changed so quickly. Just this $41,000 profit we're on in this one. It was at minus 3,000, minus 6,000 like 3 days ago, 4 days ago. So we're up 50 just on that stack in a few days. I know for the whole portfolio it's not that crazy, but it's the stacking that counts here. It's just if you keep stacking this up over a little bit longer of a time frame, man, do these things add up. But I will say two more things. One, I'm a little bit afraid going into the FOMC meeting. I'm going to be honest with you. Like the closer and closer we get towards the FOMC, the more I get afraid that maybe, right, just maybe, it's going to be a little downturn right afterwards or just right before it. On the opposite side, and this is something to keep into consideration as well, it's also possible that the FOMC just sends everything into the freaking promised lands. However, when am I going to be selling? Not yet, right? We've got good times in front of us, sure, but Coinbase hasn't really even gone down yet. Most of the popular apps are not in the App Store just quite yet. Like, we're in a good spot. We're not in the spot. I'm just still buying. And a lot of my friends have started to sell, but that's the story that I described yesterday to y'all, which is if you've been buying in hard, like I've been saying, but if you actually went through, theoretically speaking, today you should be at a point where, you can sell a good chunk and be happy because you've probably 5x or 10x your portfolio, depending on how heavy you go on these moves, right? But that's the thing. A lot of people, when is the FOMC? Wednesday. A lot of people don't do that. They don't take advantage of smaller moves. They want XRP, for example, to go to $50. They want Solana to go to $7,000, whatever. And that's because they play with very little money and with very low risk profiles. What the thing you gotta understand is when you are making yourself turn $1,000 into $10,000, there's another person turning $1,000 into $455 million bucks. So off of the same exact move. It's all to do with risk profile. It's all to do with stacking. If I look back at the Solana chart, which I just annoyingly put away, I think right here. Let's go back a little bit. It's not this one that I had the Solana chart, I guess. No, it was not. It was probably, but let's just go see. Do I have another one that I can quickly change over? We'll just duplicate it. Let's go to, here we go, Solana chart. If you consider this Solana chart and you consider it from, let's say, a 12-hour perspective, 1 day perspective, I think this one is best. What you're seeing is, I told y'all before, the $300 or $296, whatever, is acting as a very freaking big magnet. But also, if you were compounding your strategy throughout this endeavor, it's been months of only up. Sure, there was a big downturn here where the price went down 25%, but most people could have survived a 25% downturn. It's the minus 60%, the minus 50%, the minus 40% that really wreck people. 25% is bad, but theoretically speaking, even if you got wrecked on this move, you could have probably found a way to get back in at still a reasonable angle. to make the schmeckles along the way. But the thing is, the real move hasn't come yet for sure, is what Bobby says. And I keep on saying, the longer I stay in this crypto market, and I've been here for almost a decade, the more I realize that the real moves, the ones where you really make the money, are very small amounts of time. It's only a few weeks time. It's only a few weeks where you really get the time to shine. But also, it's mostly the time before that people make the gains. It's only I'm going to call it the degens or the real retail that makes money at the end of the end. And still, I would like to argue that the majority of the money that I will make this cycle has still not been made. I will again tell you that the easiest money is, theoretically speaking, behind us or is here now. And this is debatable, but in my own humble opinion, the further on we go, the riskier and riskier it gets that we've topped. Whereas right now, I still think we're in a spot where, sure, we get all the signs of an altcoin season, but not the strongest signs of having topped out. And so from that angle, I think here, it's a lot easier to just buy like a freaking lunatic with the risk of course, some downturn, but buy like a lunatic. Whereas the further we get, the more risky it gets to also buy like crazy because, well, there's a lot more people selling. Then again, when I look at the numbers, right? If I look at the views, if I look at the sentiment, even though the crypto market is up a ton, realistically, people are not that excited. And it's shifted a lot in the past 7 days. Just a week ago, it was mostly pessimism, and right now it's mostly optimism from, the crypto native people. But if you look at this chat right now, for example, let's say XRP went on a crazy run, actually move up like 10 cents more. You know the amount of people that will be in here screaming, saying, should I buy, should I buy, should I buy? Right now, you guys are here, every single one of you, but it's relatively to what we normally have. It's quite small. And that to me showcases either it's wrong timing for me to stream, but more importantly, that people still do not believe that this is really the move they should be watching out for. This is not something to get excited over. And that's really strange to me because Bitcoin breaking out from this range, XRP getting back to 316, right? From what was the low of this little endeavor? The low of the past couple of days, past couple of weeks, let's call it, was 269. We're all the way back from 269 all the way up. How much is that? We're up 20%. But again, I also understand where people say 20%, that's like a daily move in altcoin season. True, very much true. But on the opposite side, these were entries you could have had with size, which is also why I told y'all I'm still stacking XRP even at these levels because I just want a lot. And I'm not sure if the crash is going to come tomorrow or a little bit afterwards. That's why I sold a little bit of XRP just yesterday. You may call it stupid. I call it being safe. It's not a lot, though, because, again, as you can see, we still have the majority of the position open right here. Mike says, I don't believe we'll get a 50 base points. They'll start with a 0.25 and then go from there and watch per month. I'm not sure if 0.25 is actually something negative either. Mike says 5x, 10x, or without leverage. Leverage is never a necessity. Anybody can always use leverage to compound their gains, and that's sometimes how, like we see with the Dogecoin trade here, right? It's 30x leverage that I went for, 32 to be specific. We put $300 in. It is up $800. Yeah, I mean, you can't. Eric says, what do you think of Polkadot at this moment? Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Polkadot, real talk. Like, I don't really understand why people would focus on Polkadot right now when the market is super, super hot with things that are really hyped up. And I've not heard anybody talk about Polkadot in a while. So I'm not a personal big fan of buying into those. There is a chance, though, that it does really, really well. I'm not saying, go against it. I'm just saying I like to follow the hype, and I like to just follow whatever works because it tends to have the best hit ratio. I told y'all about Solana the last few days. I told you about Dogecoin. Those are my two main coins to watch out for. Together with, I told you, Pump Fund, a little bit of Hyperliquid, but that's kind of gone right now. A little bit of XRP, and there was one more, Chainlink. And some of the top contenders right now are Dogecoin, Pump Fund, and Solana. There's a few other ones, but generally speaking, those were my top coins. AVEX, we had a good mention for. What do we say? Well, they're buying another $1 billion worth of AVEX. It's partially locked though, but the idea that they're raising $1 billion to buy AVEX is actually quite huge. However, AVEX has not been my main focus. I'm not actually buying that much more AVEX because I kind of think AVEX itself is quite ass. I do have a good chunk of it, though. Comics and Hobby says, Dusty, here's my favorite 5 coins. XRP, HBAR, ADA, Gala, and Crow. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Crow or Gala. I mean, Gala makes sense when the market's really, really hot as well. And Crow, it's just like having BNB and a couple of those coins. People are making good money on Crow, but I don't really believe in their ecosystem, nor do I really like Crypto.com.
So I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's similar to having either BNB, MNT, OKB, all these freaking exchange tokens, of which many of them have also been doing really good numbers. I mean, right now, 𝗏 is, nah, I can't actually call it anything. I was going to say today 𝗏 is, but it's really not doing the best of numbers right now. So I'm not 100% sure on that. Also, Mix. What a freaking meme coin this is. I don't even know what they do in reality. I've just seen the shenanigans and the scam allegations. Ooh. Average crypto RSI is signaling overbought right now. You know what's funny? You know that people often take a look at overbought and think, oh, that means things are going to sell off. It doesn't necessarily mean so. It could actually be just a cooling off period before you go on another massive run. And 64, it could go significantly higher. In the real peak altcoin seasons, which, by the way, I keep telling you it's alt season. People like to keep going to the comment section saying, no, it's going to get even crazier. And I keep telling you, it could be the Bitcoin top side at 140, 150, for example, or doesn't even make another top at all. ETH just starts going crazier here. Solana breaks its all-time high, and we actually end the whole cycle within like a month. It's possible. Maybe not as probable, but it's possible. So you have to look at altcoin season in I'm going to say relative terms here and think, okay, 71 out of 100 coins have done better than Bitcoin right now. The season is here. If I ever want to take risk, these are the times where you look into it. Do you have to do it right now today? No. Do you have to consider that the later you do it, if you are gonna, the higher the risk is of the market falling? Now, I mean, we beat the previous high, right? Are we at that all-time high for the crypto market cap? I mean, we're at 4 trillion, but did we reach that before? I think we're at an all-time high for crypto market cap today. I believe so. So from that angle as well, right, we are at the peak of the peak. Theoretically speaking, it could be that things start going even a little bit more crazy just now, but we are at one of the best points ever. You got to realize that, guys. You really, really got to realize that. First of all, if you're watching the stream right now, we got a few hundred people in. Make sure you press that like button if you haven't done it yet. All right? Make sure you go ahead and press the like button right now. We have 200 people watching. We've had about 500 people watching in total. Make sure you press that like button. We only got 37. We can get this up to at least 100 right now if there's 200 people watching. But some of you guys don't want to see another. I don't know why some people are so greedy with it. Also, you know, I get a question very often. People saying, if you're making such good money, why do you want likes? I don't know. In the real reality of it, I don't know if a like does anything at all. It's just something I've asked for so long, and I've kind of gotten addicted to seeing that like number go up. And I'm really honestly telling you, I don't even know if it makes a difference. I think it does for helping the stream perform better. But when I look at the numbers, views-wise or whatever, I don't know if it really even does. So maybe I'm just asking you to waste y'all's time. But anyway, not that big a deal, right? It's not that hard to press regardless. How's the other trades doing? So over on WEX, we've said for a while that XRP is the better contender than ETH. It turns out that was actually a correct assessment, as the XRP trade is doing significantly better, being up 100% in the past few days, whereas the Ethereum trade is only up 67%. But it's still peanuts. I really wanted to add a good amount. And still, guys, I've got enough schmeckles in this account to add to the longs if the market does decide to turn down. And that's the thing that I also keep in the back of my head. We're doing really, really well. But the further this goes on, the more scared I should be getting. But I'm not for some reason. Kelvin says, algorithm, I guess. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how the algorithm works. I hope it works like that. But in reality, I don't even know. So yeah, that is actually quite interesting there as well. Let's take a little bit of a look. So crypto ETF flow. Wait a minute. This is over the past 30 days. All this has been added to the ETFs, $1 billion, or is that just today? I think that's just today, right? I was thinking like, overall, because all that's Ethereum. I thought this was like a strange way to indicate outflow, but it's Ethereum and Bitcoin stacked on top of one another. So in total, we had $1 billion worth of inflows yesterday, or yeah, net flow. Whoa! Wait, what? Wait a minute. I didn't realize the numbers were this crazy. We had $1 billion worth of ETF purchases just yesterday. Huh. Whoa. What's also interesting to me is that it never really looks as if Ethereum makes any sort of dent in this at all. But then when we take a look at July, isn't it interesting that Ethereum at 5 billion and Bitcoin at 6 billion? Mike says we have seen bigger purchases. I mean, it's not about that. It's not about the actual, it's about the fact that the last few days there have also been so crazy in terms of purchases that they're not, quote unquote, selling into this pressure. They're actually still buying into it because the market has been heating up so much. Sometimes you're afraid they're going to be selling off, but they're not. And this brings me back to one of my earlier posts. I think it's this one. All right, my earlier, one of the earlier things I showed y'all. It's this one. Individual investors are cashing in. Retail investors sold $700 million worth of U.S. equities last week in their second weekly sale over the last 3 weeks. This comes after nearly 36 straight weeks of buying, and as a result, the 4-week average of selling has now risen to $200 million. At the same time, institutional investors bought $1.1 billion, posting their 6th straight weekly purchase, the longest streak since the 2022 bear market. Before this streak, they had sold $19 billion over 12 weeks. Their 4-week average of purchases has now jumped to plus $1.7 billion. Wall Street is buying while Main Street is selling. So even though this is not crypto related, it does bring up the question of, how does this actually translate over to crypto? Is this kind of a similar thing that we're seeing right there, where indeed the institutions, which are explaining that with their DATs, with their digital assets treasuries, and together with, I guess, these ETF numbers, they are getting more and more interested while the retail is thinking more of selling. But then again, if I'm starting to talk to anybody in the chat here, let's do a quick little poll. Let's see. Sentiments. Who's thinking of selling and who's thinking of buying right now? I'm waiting. Let's see. Who's dumb and who's smart? I'm joking. No, that's a joke, obviously. So, Okay, so Mrs. XRP says buy. Kelvin says buy. Arnav says buy. Kung Fu says buy. The Dusty Hunt. I like that name, brother. Says buy. Or at least he says B. Comics says buy. Hot Spark says holding. Eric says holding. Okay, so they're not buying. Kung Fu says actually, matter of fact, you're waiting for a pullback. You're more so thinking of buying, but at a lower price. ASAP says neither. Holding. Flex Zone says holding. Mike says buying and holding. Okay. Bobby says I'm just trading. So different. Yep, it's different. But even when you're trading, when you're saying both in that sense, still you have some sort of bias, right? And Mark says it. Mark says the thing a lot of people would like to say but don't dare to say. Is it too late to buy? I'm going to say it's not too late, but it's getting scarier and scarier by the day. Like a lot of my friends were buying this freaking top. And the main reason there being that if you really start breaking it down, still from risk, all the angles, risk reward wise, it still makes sense to be buying at these levels. My personal gut is saying, ooh, it's getting too high. A lot of our bigger investors are selling off, especially, for example, Hyperliquid. People have been selling it off like crazy. But, in the reality of things, I remember the previous runs as well. The market is not that saturated. It's not that crazy. We can get some crashes here going, and it can still wreck you up, right? It can still mess you up, especially mentally. But when I talk about the full cycle being over with, I just don't personally believe that it is right now. Mike says, Dusty, what do you think of realistic multiplier on whole portfolio without leverage? I don't know how you can do a multiplier on your portfolio without leverage. I don't know. I think the leverage is the multiplier, right? Dusty, what do you think is a realistic multiplier on the whole portfolio? Oh, you're talking about how much X's you can do. Well, let's break it down here. If you're asking me, how much money can you make over one bull run if you do not touch leverage at all? Theoretically speaking, I'm just going to say it out loud, just real quick. There is also bots without leverage, by the way. But let's just say we take a coin, for example. We take an XRP, and we ride it from $3.16 to $10. In that same span, some people that have $1 million will now be up $100 million. You have turned your $1,000 into $3,000. That's pretty good. But that's because of no leverage. I'm just saying. So $3,000 now we have from the $1,000 we start with. Now at $10 in XRP, we go to a smaller coin. For example, I don't know, a coin that's right here in the bottom. And we put it in, and it does another 3x. Now we've turned our, let's say 3.3x. We turned our $3,000 because of a smaller coin we bought to $10,000. And then we actually spread it out into a few different coins. We put 1,000, okay, let's say $500 into 20 coins down there. And all of a sudden, one of them does 100x. let's say we end up with $24,000, 24x of portfolio if we play our cards really, really well. That's like a really high tier estimate. Most people, what they're going to do is, let's say they take Solana. They're going to ride Solana from 350 to 720, so they double it. And then they invest it into smaller and smaller things, but they never cash out, and so their $1,000 goes to, let's say 2,000, 2,500. Then at peak, it's worth 16,000 because of small coins they bought, and then it goes back to about 800, and then maybe even 200 like the next few months after, as the market kind of goes down because they refuse to sell. And that's why I always say, never marry your bags. Always stay liquid in the sense that you keep buying and selling, buying and selling. If you're a person that's only hodling, it's okay. But you have to understand that essentially, unless your idea is to hold for like a decade, 5 years, whatever, just the next run, it almost always would have made sense to still sell when the market was really, really saturated. And again, this is coming from a person that I'm moving right now. I'm mobilizing ETH that I've not touched in 9 years almost. So this is 2016 ETH that I'm touching. So 2017 ETH, so it's 8 years that I'm touching right now. Oh, sounds a bit strange. I'm touching them. Anyway, so I don't know why I keep staying stuck on this touching thing. It's like the moment I said touching, instead stuck in my head. So I'm touching these freaking coins, all right? I'm touching them hard. And they've not been touched in 8 years, and they're getting touched by me right now, all right? And so what's happening with them is I feel strange. Why? I mean, it's been so stuck in my head that these coins should be there forever. But I also realized that if I'm not utilizing them at all, I'm not even staking some of them. There's, for example, now hundreds of ETH I've got laying around doing absolutely nothing. And this is not a recommendation of sorts. I'm just explaining my own thought process here. If I had put it into, for example, the bots right here, think about it. So I only put 0.5 to this one, right? But it's up 0.1 ETH. I could have had, for example, a bigger ETH bag in that. 8 ETH here, it's up 1, right? If I put 80 ETH here, I'd be up 10 ETH. So I would have actually made some difference right there. Now, of course, if the price goes down, I'm also not going to be loving it, which is why you minimize your risk right there. But the main reason I've not been moving everything over, which partially I'm doing, like today I'm going to be moving a lot of BNB over and some more ETH, actually, and some more Solana also. The reason I've not is because I also like to be conservative in that sense and just kind of stay to my original investment thesis, which is you have coins in cold storage, you just have them, and then you have these trading accounts. But the more I mature in this sense, I realize, okay, what a lot of these people do is they go really crazy on the trading accounts for a few months span, and then as the bear market comes back in, if the market's too hot, they take a lot of it out and just don't touch it anymore. But a lot of that is also dollars because you realize that on average, the market dips by about, let's say, 80%. So if you're fully stacking coins only, if you're doing that, in, for example, the bots from here where you're actually stacking coins properly, it's okay. Or if you're trading on the side and you always consistently throughout years put it back into coins, it also works. But if you're only thinking of dollars when the market is good and only thinking of coins when the market is bad, I think on average you might actually lose Even if you did really, really well in the bull market, you may have stacked a ton of coins. Sorry, I should say the opposite way. If you're only thinking of coins in the good market and dollars in the bad market, you might actually lose because maybe your dollars and dollars are getting worth more in the good market, right? But you're actually selling off coins to do that. Then in the bad market, you end up with starting with one Bitcoin, which was $10,000. Maybe in the good market, you end up having $40,000 or so, but at 100,000 Bitcoin, so you only had 0.4 BTC. As the market dips down, you still only have that 0.4 BTC, and the value of it also diminishes by 80%. Had you just kept your one Bitcoin, you would have now had more in the reality of things. But that's, again, the difference between thinking in dollar terms or coin terms. And when the bad market comes, the coins matter a lot more than the dollar value of them. But in the good market, theoretically speaking, the opposite. But that's a hard thing to keep in la cabeza. And for right now, looking back at it, I just regret previous cycles not going a bit harder into bullish momentum because, again, all my friends are also doing some crazy numbers. And I've told y'all before of a couple of trades I keep showcasing here of people turning their few $1,000s into a few million. It's not necessarily that I want to copy their style because their risk profile is not something I resonate with too much, but it does bring up a point of if you stack yourself in a proper market, that's how you compound to multiple X's. Or that's strategy number one. Or you have to stay on it, follow the news like I've been saying, follow the proper flows of money. And then in opportunities like this, you go for, like I said, Solana, Doge, Chainlink, Pump Fund, all the ones I've said just now, and you go at them with severity because you believe in the money, you believe in the money flow. Right now, anybody could have turned their $1,000 into $10,000 in 1 week. Anybody could have done it. Why? Well, look back at my example. Exact example I'll show you right now. Exact example is our Dogecoin trade. We put, let's show it again, $300 in. It's at $800 right now in a day, going from 27 point something cents to like 29 cents a Doge. You could have caught this move way earlier because we've been screaming at this. I made a whole dedicated video a few days ago. This was a 50% move. We used 30x leverage. It would have been up, let's say, 1,500% in just 1 week. Am I saying you should? No, I'm not here advocating you should use any leverage at all. I'm saying you could have. And so people often like to settle for like a 3x gain across a whole season. It's very little. It's because people are not taking advantage of the smaller moves right there. And again, to some extent, I also get it because you do not want to lose. And if that's the bias, well, yeah, sure, makes sense. But then also realize that it's going to be way harder because the odds are stacked against you if you're always just playing for the safest of safest options. Theoretically speaking, your safest option is dollars, for example, just having them stacked up, getting yourself a 7% or so return a year. But I'm even thinking of S&P major stocks. Fun fact, even if you were stacking S&P, and in the worst case, you were prepared for like a 20% drawn in a day, which has happened before, right? But even if that's like your worst case scenario, how much can the S&P really drop? Where if you're using slight leverage, like for example 3x, where you're doing bad, like I don't know. Anyway, so let's see some of the chats here today. We got Bus saying, if you keep compounding, is it basically the same? Theoretically speaking, even if you have no leverage at all, if you keep compounding, how does that work? Like, what are you compounding into? Because I mean, I personally think about compounding in the sense that, for example, if you have leverage, right, you've got multiple coins that you're buying that you didn't actually have. If you're not in leverage, well, let's say you bought 1,000 coins and they're up $100. Well, then the $100 is what the coins are up for. So how are you gonna compound that? You're gonna put it back in the P&L by buying more coins, but I mean the coins are worth that and are going up. So I don't know exactly how that's supposed to work, really. But maybe it's just something because I don't really think about that too much. I think about it in a really different form if we're doing spot purchases. If we buy 1,000 coins at $1 a coin, we put $1,000 in. Now these coins go to $1.20, so our $1,000 is now worth $1,200. We still got the exact same amount of coins. The only way to buy in more is to sell some coins off, but since the coins have gone up in price, where can we compound? The only way we can compound then is by selling high and buying low. But yeah, if you can do that, that's optimal, but that's hard. Significantly harder to buy low, sell high, than to buy high, buy even higher, and then sell really freaking high. With sometimes a buy low in the middle. Kung Fu says, if you stake them, you can compound them. Yeah, but staking gives such a little return. Celinda says, selling in a month or two, never hold through a bear market. I mean, it's not bad to hold through a bear market if it's part of the portfolio, or if you're a person, like I said before, that sees the value over longer periods of time. But in reality, I want for most people that are watching this right now, like the core audience here, I want you to do so well over the next, let's say, 2 months that you're just done. You can actually cash everything out if you want to and never have to come back in. I mean, I would always come back in because I can never leave the crypto freaking space here. It's impossible. Like, it's grandfathered into me. I cannot live a normal life anymore. But I will tell you that I prefer for people to not have the same struggle of not selling enough coins season one and then thinking they're struggling. No, most people, really, you're in your best spot if you do so well by taking, in my opinion, slightly higher risk than you usually are comfortable with when the times are so stacked in front of you, right? For you. But again, that depends on your risk profile as well. I'm not trying to tell anybody to do anything they don't want to. Ultimately, it's your own freaking life. It's your own money, it's your own decisions. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, and you can, do whatever you want at the other side. It doesn't matter to me if you use leverage or not. It's all you. But this is my thought process. And I like to share it because I really think, yesterday I had some questions about what I should do with some specific coins. And you want to know an annoying thing? Sometimes I don't have that many people to talk to about these things. Sure, I have analysts. Sure, I have people that have made way more money than I have. But still, just because they make more money doesn't necessarily mean they have better business acumen, or doesn't mean they actually make the best of choices. First of all, some people can get lucky. I mean, I had a Nosana, right? Remember, I just by accident didn't really sell, and all of a sudden did an 800x. So all of a sudden you make $1 million, or you make a few $1 million off of one coin because you forgot, or because you got lucky buying the right coin once. This happens to a lot of people. And a lot of people, even at 16 years old, 18 years old right now, will get some of that luck Again, and it might ruin you mentally because you've been stacking, doing proper investments, thinking smart, and still you're not making as much as they do. It's going to happen time and time and time again. But I just stick to my own thesis, which is it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. It's just about you. And hopefully you're improving your situation. That's all that matters. If he's turning his $1,000 into $15 million, can I take some examples out of that? Yes, no, maybe. Well, okay, maybe then I can. But all I care about is hopefully improving your own situation. Hopefully becoming, a little percentage better every day, every week, whatever. It doesn't really matter how good or how bad they've done. I guess how bad is, again, a good lesson, though. If they really royally messed up, what did they do to mess themselves up? How do I not replicate the same result? Damn. Okay, so interesting fun fact. I thought this hyperliquid trade would be up significantly more. We went in at 47, it's at 56. It feels like it should be up more. I mean, the grid profits is cashed out $3,000, but theoretically speaking, we're only up 70%, whereas how much is the long up here? Hyperliquid long, it's a 100K position. It's up 20K, 80%. Even though we also bought this at 44. Daniel says, anyone else buying XLR? Nah. No. But here's the thing also. You know that you can ask about anybody buying by my... I want y'all, if you've not done it yet, this is, again, right now, all of you watching, you're the core people that almost show up every single stream I do. So this is now a little bit more personal talk than I usually do, right? I would really highly recommend you to join the Discord, which I've linked down below, and start a chat. Why? 3 reasons. One is I'll get more people in there that actually know what they're talking about with regards to trading and everything to hopefully help out. Completely free, no cost at all. 2 is I'll talk in there myself. So maybe if you have some questions, maybe, sometimes it might be... you can get an answer. And 3 is you have like-minded people in there discussing with one another. Don't send them the exact amount of money you got. Don't send them any money, right? Don't trust other people in that sense, but use your own proper judgment to look at what they've said, and maybe it resonates with you, maybe it makes sense, right? Don't trust people over the internet to send them money or anything, Don't be stupid. These are not necessarily all friendly people, but a lot of people can help out one another. For example, hey, who's buying XLR? I'm not, but maybe other people are. What is their price range? Why are they buying? What is the news coming out? Maybe people can share the news with one another. It just might help. 𝗬𝗂, for example. Yeah, I hold 𝗬𝗂. Yeah, I worked with 𝗬𝗂. I use their, the cards is fine. Everything is pretty cool. But if you're asking me why will I go big, well, there's a lot of reasons why I would say they are not the biggest of biggest, but maybe there's another person that's has a different opinion. What do you believe about Connor Kenny? He's a very good friend of mine. Also lives very close to me in Dubai. I don't know what else to tell you for my friend. What do I believe? I'm going to send this to him, matter of fact. We always had a little competition going on in the past. But what I said earlier about this like being a very friendly thing right now, because we don't have that many people watching. One more thing I'll tell you is this is the time where I get more scared in the market because of how fast things can go. So if I'm looking at the crypto market right now, I'm looking at all these coins, I get really scared thinking, ooh, this could very soon be over. And I realize that a lot of people watching these videos thinks, oh, XRP is going to run to $20. Solana is going to run to 1,000. And even though at the real core of my body, I do believe that, I do also admit that because of the other side that I know the institutional side, I know the people with significant sums of money that are banking on these smaller plays. I do realize that if you are a person that's really waiting for all these crazier high prices, there's a good chance you're going to actually end up selling nothing at all because you keep waiting, you keep waiting, you keep waiting. You're not stacking opportunities that are in front of us right now. And it's going to be a way harder mental journey because if the market now falls 40%, you've lost out on all the gains throughout this little season, right? And I mean, the same is true if you're stacking it hard, if you're compounding proper. If the market does fall down, you're going to hate yourself. But some of these people, they compound at just the right time, just a few week time span, where they, for example, multiply their whole bag so much that it don't really matter no more. It doesn't really matter anymore. ASAP says, what I learned is do not chase runners. I counter that by saying, if we're talking about the majority of the money I've ever made in my life, it's by chasing runners. We're talking about runners like Solana here or Doge, not a runner like a 60% move in a day. Then again, the world coin I bought when the price was up 80% in a day. So your theories, I love y'all, but your theories don't necessarily always work out. Because especially if you've bought, I trade hundreds of millions of dollars every single month. You have to understand that. Right? I see these coins every single day. I have people here every single day talking about these coins all day in, day out. Whew. one thing you realize is whatever theory you got, throw it out the window because there's somebody out there making billions of dollars off of it. Not us. I mean, things are doing good, but not that good. I don't got $1 billion. All right, we can be very open and honest about that one. But, hey, you got a couple shout outs on Working Money channel today, Dusty. Woo! I'm going to take a look at that. That's nice. But chasing runners can work flawlessly. All right, ignoring every single runner, trying to short every runner can probably work flawlessly. You can make a lot of money on a lot of different things out there. All right, my friends. You don't? Unfortunately not, my friends. But the fun fact is, I think the probability of me making videos here, even if my net worth now turns to $1 billion, which, hey, hopefully this season, I don't think so, but let's see. Right? I'll still probably be doing the exact same thing, which is what I also find funny about some people. They think, oh, why are you making videos if you're doing so well? I mean, I don't have to, but I don't know. I've been making videos since, for the past 15 years, almost every day. I call this like a live thing. I will always do it, and the money doesn't really change much. The activity changes something, though. If the market's not doing anything, I make a lot less, as you guys have seen. But I've been here consistently for 8 years, and trust me when I tell you right now, it's not a money thing. Because if you look at the amount of money that YouTube makes, I'm telling you right now, for some of you it might be good, but I pay the entire monthly, the entire monthly budget of this freaking ads, which is not more than it's not thousands of dollars even, all right? It's not even multiple in that sense. I paid every single day just for having one trade open, just to get you guys in the right mind space here. We'll be here. Good times, bad times. I'm going to be right here in front of this screen every freaking, well, almost every day. Maybe not every day. But Raphael says to 𝗕𝗓𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 soon. Let me take a look. So ASAP says, stop buying poop coins, buy top 50 and you'll be rewarded. I think that's cyclical. Right now in times like this, I mean, this number is not 99, right? It's not 90 plus. And Bitcoin's dominance is not falling off a cliff. This is the point where indeed the top coins still make a lot of sense. This number soon though will shift, probably more towards the 89, 90. And at that point, I'm not saying buying top 50s is necessarily that smart. Right now, as I've said 1,000 times, you only stick to top coins. If you're not buying coins mostly in the top 100, you're taking unnecessary risk because top 100 coins still will make you the majority of the gains with a very low risk ratio. But as the market picks up, if you're sticking only to top 100 coins, you're missing out on that extra 10x multiplier. Ooh, ASAP says, agreed, thanks for the advice. Nothing as advice, just my thoughts. I used BTCC for leverage on XRP. I put in $200. Then the case got dropped. 20 minutes later, I had 50x leverage and $200 turned to $1,700. Maybe you're a freaking genius or lucky, but this 50x leverage, I stay away from that with a 50-foot pole as well. All right, theoretically speaking, I can do it like a cross leverage right now. Just use my account as leverage. Like, fun fact, the reason I put 10x here across the board, for example, for most of these coins, is because it's more realistic of what I would do. But as you see, I have more money in my account. I don't essentially have to only keep the leverage so low. I can up this right now to 50x, make it seem as if it was a really cool trade because the margin would drop by a five-fold, right? So it would only be $20,000 for trading at $1 million. It would look really, really cool. The reason I don't do that is because even if I didn't have a lot of money in my account, this is exactly what I would do. And let's quickly see. I need to switch this over again. I always like to have it in dollar terms. Here we go. And some people are asking, why is this liquidation price so quote unquote high or so low, whatever you want to say there. The reason it has liquidation price is because now there's only a few $100,000 in the account, right? We only have like 200K available unless it starts selling things off. But I could always deposit more, which is, a nice thing. That's the nice thing about Bybit, by the way. They have UTA, so they have like a collateral account that you can always deposit coins to, and I still have a lot of freaking coins, so that's actually quite nice. But nowadays, I'm not really trying to stack my normal positions much anymore. I'm trying to stack the bots because I realized I've done the numbers so many times. It just makes more sense to have them in bot form than in normal cash form. It just makes more sense. And boys, I'm telling y'all as well, you may not look at the market right now and look into buying, but I'm addicted, I think. I just want to full send everything even right now. I want to buy so much more Solana. It makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me sick the amount of soul I want to fully ape into this freaking chart right now. XRP is running back up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're pumping again. XRP. You're saying do it. Mr. 𝗕𝗫𝗀 is saying go do it. I mean, we can buy a little bit of Solana. Let's see here. How much is it? So it's 364. It's high though. It's 241. You know what? I'll buy. Let's add let's add 20 Sol here just for fun. $390. So it didn't really add too much, huh? So I guess it doesn't really do too much. You're saying do it, it'll double. Yeah, I think so. We should also, man, I also want to add more of everything. But we're, you know, and also reality, we're a bit too high mentally to add. What I do need to add though is the 10K to a million challenge. I need to take this out and put it back in. And so how you usually do that is you release the profit, but it depends on the P&L of it. So in this case here, I can take out the $4,000, $4,070. And once I take that out, I can reinvest it back into the chart. Oh, my camera's stuck a little bit. I can reinvest it back into the chart. Reinvest it back to the position. So we're stacking our 10K to, at that point, hopefully about 46. But Mark says, bad idea, correction next week. The reason I still have a lot of things left over is for whatever comes up during FOMC. And I'm even thinking, and this is something that you guys may find controversial, but I'm even thinking of perhaps selling a little bit of the positions again just to mentally prepare for FOMC in case a correction were to come. Because it's not a guarantee, right? It could be that the market's actually full send based on FOMC, but I do think mentally it's wise to, you know, to some extent, stay more neutral around that specific event. Because it could be just a catastrophic event like the day before, because people are front running the announcement. And even though I think, generally speaking, FOMC is bullish, it might not showcase that the day itself or the next few days. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Anyway, by the way, lads, if you're also looking into trading, I've got some links down below. The bots I always do over on Payonix. The Discord link is right there in case you do want to join, do want to have some conversations going. There's also a nice free 10K position you get over on WeX right now. Like, you know, normally I'm more of a Blowfin fan, which you guys have noticed, but a 10K free position is a 10K free position. And you also get $100 for signing up, I believe. So, you know, it is quite nice. Honest truth. Cat House says, keep up with the videos. You're one of the few YouTubers that don't hurt my ears or eyes. You calling me beautiful? Your grounded humor and contrarian points help when I'm doubting about a trade. Brother, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm still relatively dumb in the brain, all right? You have to understand that. I may sound like I've got reason, but do you understand the position that I'm putting myself into by opening these positions like a maniac? Like, I just bought more Solana at the peak of the peak top. I am not the example here, brother. No, I'm not really that much into the risk. You know, it's relatively quite low. But still, like, somewhere it should come into your brain that I am also a little bit stupid. Like, who does that? Who apes Solana at 241? Like, why would I do that when I had the chance to buy so low? And that's actually the TikTok comments I get all the time. Most people, they comment and they say, oh, Cat says, I'm not a dude. All right, sorry, Cat House. Sorry for assuming the wrong, assuming a schlong right there. My bad. All right, but anyway, so most people on TikTok, what they often say is, why would you buy high when you could have bought low for so long? And I think a funny thing that doesn't really compound in the brain, that don't really work over there, is the idea that if you're buying low, you're sometimes buying into a really, really bad deal. If you're buying into, for example, a downwards moving trend, I mean, theoretically speaking, it is almost always a better idea to go with the trend than against it. And so, for example, good example I can give you here is the altcoin market cap. If you're buying anywhere throughout this entire period, you might say, oh, but Dusty, it's so down low. Look at this. The altcoins were only worth 700 billion there. I should have bought a ton. The real place where you should be looking into buying is actually this area right here. Why? Because that's when the previous highs got broken and finally you're making newer, higher grounds. From a risk reward perspective, sure, you're getting yourself a really low price right here. Some people stack it up. And theoretically speaking, anywhere below the moving average is quite cheap for alts. Okay, yeah, that's one theory. And I actually would agree that that's the right choice perhaps as well. But for the most part, if you're buying into this area, yes, it's cheaper than before, sure. But it's quite risky because the downtrend is still intact. It's only right here, basically, or perhaps this dip. This dip is a really juicy one to buy. This dip is kind of dumb to buy. If you're doing that, from my own perspective, again, if we're taking away the moving average, because the moving average makes this a good dip as well. If we took that away, you're buying into the idea that the market was moving down, made itself a new high. Right now, currently, is forming what looks to be an even lower low. It didn't. It actually was a higher low, but you didn't know it at the time. So theoretically speaking, buying into this second candle, the green one, because you formed yourself, or I guess the confirming candle right after, right? It confirmed itself that it's making itself a higher low. Could have been, but specifically this higher high and then the dip afterwards, these are the ones that you really look into buying, right? And right now, like I've been screaming yesterday, the fact that we are breaking out above these previous heights as well, this is now showcasing the altcoins are breaking out from the previous range. We're getting to levels which we've never seen. That's when you get more excited rather than less excited. And that's something hard to compound to a lot of people. I get that. Mentally, it's hard to think of the idea that it's better sometimes to buy when the market's really, really good rather than buying when the market's really, really bad. But it often turns out to be that way. Where is the chat? I've lost the chat somewhere in the sauce. Here we go. Buses. I confirm some are literal screamers. Dusty making A-rap money. Hey, sorry, Cat House, by the way. My bad. TJ laughing. I'm here to watch you jump into a body of water. You know, I'm not going to lie. That's a bit of a strange thing to say. If you think about it, I want to watch you jump in the freaking water. You basically ask me to jump off a bridge. Is that what you're trying to say? Or you just want to see me go into the pool, which is also kind of strange if you think about it. You're just here with all the money talk we can have, and all you want is for me to jump in a pool. Or do you mean you want the prices to be high, and then as a result, I appreciate that. All right, let's see. Cato says, exactly. I'm still new at trading, but why is it not safe to buy 20 SOL now than weeks ago? I know people say don't chase runners, but if the run keeps running for a long time. So my response to that is safe is never the right word to use in when it comes to all this. It's not the right word at all. It's a difference in trading strategy. Some people, like me, have the strategy of you compound whatever works. So if the market starts heating up, you add hard to that heating up because that's how you exponentially make a lot of money in a short amount of time. And some people are opposite. They buy when the market goes down a lot, and they hopefully see the market recover. Different strategies. So why is it not smart? Well, because if you keep buying into the high, there's a lot of people selling the optimism because they made their money by buying low. So it's a double-edged sword. I'm buying into strength. I'm buying into people buying. But the more people that buy, the more people that do what I'm saying right now, the more that the people who are buying into their freaking weakness are selling off. Dusty, you have done it when you're super happy. Yes. If push comes to shove, I will fly again to a country with a freaking pool. But as my plans are right now, there's no pool in the vicinity. And as you can see, I mean, if y'all really want to, I can go to the store right now and get myself a little tummy pool. I don't know how you call it, like a little, how do you call that thing? Like if y'all really want right now, I can put something right here and get it done. Like it's theoretically speaking possible for me to operate some sort of thing in this vicinity. It is theoretically speaking possible. Logistically, it would be a bit dumb because how am I going to get the water here? But what I could do is I could get trash bags I mean, the logistics of this don't make a lot of sense, but it's possible. I can always move the camera. There's a big room here in front of me. I mean, if XRP breaks an all-time high, I'm doing that. I'm buying a freaking kiddie pool, and I'm going, or how do you call it? Is it a kiddie pool? I think so. And I'm filling up this freaking office with water, all right? Liquidity in overflow is what's going to happen. If XP hits an all-time high, I'm doing that. Unless I'm flying before that, but let's see. All right? Or matter of fact, if don't know. Let's stick to XRP. Those are my biggest positions right now. I want to say Bitcoin, but you know what? That's too close for comfort. Infinity pool with an inflatable. Brothers and sisters, I don't know how big you guys think this is. It has a few multiples. Like this is the size of this office is actually pretty large because you can see right here behind me. There's about, let's say maybe about in total this between camera and there, it's about, I'm gonna say 3 meters, right? The whole office here I think is about, let's say, I still have 10 meters to go that way maybe that I could go behind the camera. But there's also a door. And there's no water source around here as far as I remember. If there is, that would be interesting. But so I'm going to have to keep carrying freaking bucket loads of water. It's going to be an interesting one. Please, somebody says, start crowdfunding to make Dusty buy a pool. I am not buying a pool. Even if you pay me the money for the pool, I am not getting a pool in the office. Buses, imagine getting rid of the dirty freaking bathwater. I would sell you guys the bathwater though. All right, so that would be a pretty good ROI on that. There's probably somebody, one person, that at least pay me $5 for a bucket of water, right? I hope so. If not, I'm disappointed in life. Regardless, Dogecoin almost back at 30 cents. I still want to see Dogecoin trading. Like, I made videos a while back at 13 cents a Doge or something, saying like, okay, we'll see Doge above $1. You know how the response was people calling me a freaking dumbass. Doge is dead. Only buy Pepe, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. I still stand by my earlier stated opinions. This is a while back. No, so it just went to 19 cents this time, huh? It didn't even go that low. I thought Doge went way lower this time around. But I remember also in the previous period, like this little, oh no, it did go lower. Here we go. Yeah, see, it was like 13 or 14 cents. It was 13 cents somewhere. Interesting. But the amount of people who said, no, it was crazy. Now we're back at 30 cents. We're starting this little uptick again. I wonder if people still think like $3 a Doge or $1 Doge is impossible. To me, it seems like it's going to happen 99.9% certain. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot guarantee anything. I'm just saying this is what it seems like for me. And I find it odd how people are so stacked against it. The thing is, though, if it does happen, if we do go to $1 a Doge, there's people making... Did you seriously just send me 5 years for bathwater money? Really? Did that just seriously happen? What's going on with my life, man? Well, the crowdfunding for bathwater has started. You know, I'm just going to try to ignore it. I'm going to act as if this does not happen, all right? Appreciate you. It'll go into a nice little pot somewhere. Okay. I don't even know how to react to that. Why? You know what? Let's try to act like that did not happen. All right? Let's try to act like that did not happen. So, by the way, if y'all is wondering, what's the next major event to watch out for? It's 99.9% going to be FOMC, which of course is over on Wednesday. This is the major event that could turn the entire... Boys and girls, I appreciate you coming in with donations, all right? It's always nice. It's always cool. You know, your money is good here, so keep sending it. I'm going to use it for dubious acts of kindness, right? Like taken from the rich and also taken from the poor. And I don't know, like robbing stores and stuff, like buying equipment for that. So appreciate you. But if you're sending it to me for buckets of water, I don't know. I feel like we're going into the completely wrong direction. Because Jeffrey says, I'll sell you my bathwater. Brothers, I'm not doing a fundraiser for bathwater. What's wrong with y'all? Juan coming in with the $2 saying more bathwater money. Y'all are weird. Gallon says not pay $50 delivery for the bath. I mean, I can probably get myself like a. I mean, bath. How do I kitty bath or something like that? Like lads, what type of one should I like what type of one we talking about? Like, we talking like this type of style, or are we talking more like the one where, I mean, you know, I was thinking in my head more like the inflatable one, but for a grown-ass man. I don't think I'm going to, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty tall, you know, but, wait, how do I look it up? Inflatable pool. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. I'm like, wait, something's wrong. But, y'all, I don't know. Y'all really want me to buy a freaking yeah, I mean, I'll buy the pool if you guys want, but how am I gonna fill it up with water though? This is gonna be the most awful endeavor I've ever tried in my life. Give the fans what they want. No, sometimes you gotta tell them to shut up and get back to their cave. I am not buying. I mean, I would buy the bathtub. I can buy that right now. But how am I gonna get the water in and out? The logistics of here doesn't make sense. Hey, but hey, real talk. If we're talking, would you prefer one of these? Because this, you know, or we talk like huge. This is pretty cool, actually. I didn't even know they had pools like this. This is nice. I need this for my normal home. This is really cool. It's like really the stupidest design ever if you think about it. I mean, your kid like half-ass drowning with it. It's like, oh, well, at least he's protected from what? You want to view whatever's inside there, especially if there's like a little pool. How do you call this? Like a little slide next to it. I want to see whatever's happening over there. That's a bit sketch. Okay, I found what I'm gonna purchase. I'm convinced right now. This is so nice. I mean, all right, market popping off a little bit more. I'm gonna get myself an inflatable tub. It has to happen. Charlie says, "Don't come on, guys. Don't give him a hard time." It's all good, all good, all good. You know what I did see though? A massive drop off in people. The moment I started talking about inflatable tubs, you guys did this to me. Look at this. The moment y'all started mentioning inflatable tubs, half the people just left. Like, what are we talking about? But it's okay. I think it's kind of funny. It was meant to happen. It's not going to happen. Demetrius says, we are the real ones, Dusty. That's why we did it. That's why we talk about this. Kung Fu says, if you're in a hotel, I suggest to call for more bottles of water. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Man, you guys, it's a little bit scary how much some of you guys have been here for, that you start to know all these little dumbass things I do. Like, I call up the front desk. Tell them, bring me more bottles of water now with speed. This is what I do. This is how I talk to, if you didn't go to the channel, if you haven't been here, this is how I talk to hotel worker staff. Bring it to me now. And I hang up the phone. Yep. That's the type of person you're watching right now. Yep. I get stuff done. No, I'm joking, of course. But anyway, getting back to the serious things at hand. As it currently stands, the only thing I'm paying attention to is partially a massive crash that's going to make my boots freaking tremble, just out of nowhere, because that's the crypto market for you. You know, get ready for it. And obviously the FOMC numbers. Only two things I'm watching out for, primarily FOMC. Wednesday coming up, there's a good chance from Monday on we're going to start seeing some shenanigans with regards to it. And the reason I said before, it's not actually stupid to cash out some of the positions right here, even though primarily I'm still buying. I'm on the buying side, as you guys know. XRP 318. If you're wondering, am I making this noise? It's because I wanted to buy more, but I didn't. But it's okay. This is also where greed sometimes comes in, right? I mean, let's be realistic. I think after leverage, in total now, I think it's about $6 or $7 million worth of positions I've got open on just these 3 platforms. So from that angle, we're doing quite comfortably. You know, we're doing quite okay. And sometimes it's the sickness of just thinking, okay, well, we need to really take out everything out of this move that you can sometimes go a bit too far, because in reality, we're stacked up pretty nicely. I mean, we've got $1 million XRP trade over on here. We got, let's see here real quick. We got about 170,000 XRP worth of positions right here. It's not that much, I guess, at the end of the day. But hey, you know what? We got 170,000 worth of positions right here. We're quite stacked up, and we got 20,000. Okay, this is we got $20,000 worth of positions right here. We're in a pretty good spot. We're pretty comfy. But still, you always feel like you should get yourself even some crazier trades, because the market's so good. It feels like I'm wasting out not getting myself more positions. And that's why I said what I wanted to do today was move over more ETH. Oh, and then we have the positions here. Oh, I forgot about that. I wanted to move over some funds today, specifically BNB and ETH, and just start buying more of these BNB bots and whatever. Let's see, these ones. Just start buying more into them. Because I realized, like, let's say I have a few hundred BNB laying around somewhere. Why not put it into the freaking bots? Why not just let it like do nothing? It already gave me back like 8%, but cashed out 0.6. It's only 46% a year. But on Binance, like the return is what, 7% a year? Something like that. So even if I do very, very safe strategies of a very wide range, which I'm not doing because I want to maximize profits, but of a very wide range with only a part of my entire portfolio, theoretically speaking, if I really wanted to, I could sell off a good chunk that is doing after leverage. So in this case here, if I'm putting in 1.8 BNB, fun fact, because of the way the market is moving and because we're getting close towards the top of the range, it's actually no leverage at all. It's doing minus leverage. You can see 1.8 BNB, right? It's only acting as 1.2 because it's selling off a lot of it as the market is moving upwards. It will not go to 0 at the end, but it's not necessarily buying or doing much anymore at the end. Why? Because, well, it's a certain range. That's why you have to end the range. Sorry, that's why you have to up the range if the market all of a sudden is making moves where you think, oh, I should actually be getting more. If I do this right now, which I'll show you just for demonstration purposes, if I do this right now, you'll see it go from that's fine. It goes from 1.2 BNB in actual leverage to all of a sudden 2.4. Why? Because now it needs to keep more BNB to get itself this little trading session going on towards the top of the range. And that's also sometimes how bots trade significantly more than others, or how sometimes this number of why does that not show up? Oh, here we go. Why sometimes this number is at almost 5x, so sometimes it's at 0.5x. It all has to do with where it is specific to your entirety of the range. In this case here, it's about halfway through, as you can see. So it's also supposed to be not at full 5x, but a little multiplier of sorts. And then with some of them, I have a really, really wide range. Like, for example, with ETH here. Oh, look at that. But even now, because we're closer towards the... actually, this is a really interesting amount of leverage, because it's only acting still as about 11.15. I expect it to be slightly higher. But it's also some part of the learning curve here for me, in that sense, to just see exactly which numbers I prefer and at which part I want to place the bottom of my price range where it's going to be at full-on leverage, for example. But yeah, it's part of the learning process. And I'm loving every single part of it because the returns on average are still thus far pretty great. But I realize that it's probably much more beneficial to have the ranges significantly smaller. Like in this case, for example, go more towards, like, for example, 230 something. Like, so let's just, as an example, say 236. Now it's going to buy significantly more. You can see the liquidation price changes by a whole big margin. But that's also how you make significantly more money if the market does actually build itself up. Because you can see grid per amount per year is actually in this case not really that high, partially because the range is just so wide, so it's doing relatively a lot less trades. If we were to up this, you can see, let's quickly scroll through. Oh, we can check first. So right now we are 45,000 XRP long, so about $150,000 worth, a little bit more than that. If I now switch it up and I just increase the lower bound, let's just say by 10 cents. I forgot the amount that it was long just now, but let's just see. If I do this, press yes. Let's see here. It goes from, I don't know, how much was it now? 45, I think, to 52, for example. And again, this can keep going on, keep going up, keep going on. But theoretically speaking, my grid APR, because of the range being smaller, should also get increased. And in this case here, theoretically speaking, it's also better if I had my upper bound slightly lowered, because even though XRP has been volatile, it's not been that volatile. And I can always up this again. The only negative thing is, if I up it relatively towards the top, it's going to be more skewed towards the bottom. If I do this, if I lower the upper bound, theoretically speaking, it's going to sell off some XRP because we're now closer towards lower. So if I want to lower the upper bound, I also have to increase the lower bound a little bit, make the range tighter, or it's going to be selling off only. And in this case here, I wanted to actually buy more, get more exposure relative to my size. Emmanuel, do you reinvest the bot when you have nice profits? The reason I don't so much is for a very good amount because I want to showcase a story here of the bots. There's only one bot that I actively compound, which is the 10K to 1 million challenge. It's not because I don't think you can make less profit, but there's two main reasons here. One, I have significant amount of capital still running around, like not doing anything, not in bots, just sitting around. For me, compounding doesn't make that much a difference because I can always just buy more. If we're being really logical here, let's say, for example, the Solana bot I've got. I also still just have some Solana in my account here that I didn't even use. So instead of compounding the 23 SOL that it's up, for me, it makes more sense to show people how much it's up. And if I want to buy more, I can always just, put in this case here, a few hundred more Solana in, right? And I can always deposit more in that sense. If I was at like closer towards my max, or I'm at a place where I'm, in such amounts of profit that I want to stack, I would. But for me, from the video side, I think it makes a lot of sense if I also show people what the results have been and just add more money to it. Because in theory, I've got this money already, right? But since I got, I guess, more to use, it's also easier, I think, to showcase how the results have been by doing it this way. Because otherwise, the investment goes up if you compound it, but the P&L goes down, right? Because it doesn't calculate. So, for example, the 10K to 1 million challenge, if I didn't write it over there, people would think I just put in 42,000. They would forget that I started this with $10,000. But it's because I wrote it there. But then I'm going to have to write for every single bot how much we started with, the 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓. Or if people are watching every single day, they'd know. But overall, I think it looks a little bit better. Also in this type of overview, if you can see the percentages that we've been pulling from it. I just think it's a little bit better. But for my own personal bots, would I probably do it this way? No. I would compound a lot more. Also, because keeping grid profits in there don't really do much. I think almost always it's better to just take it out because, it's acting as extra margin. Well, you can always just make it act as extra margin yourself by adding it. But then you have the freedom to do with it as you please. So I always say, take it out. Why not? Well, there's no real point in keeping it in. It's just, for me, it's fun to look at. And because this way you can more so forget about it. But theoretically speaking, I can cash out this SUI, for example, the 60 SUI we made, and put it right back into extra margin myself. So I just have a nice flow going instead of just keeping it in. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Yep. Anyway, as it currently stands in the market, what are we expecting? I still expect these coins to keep kind of sending. Like, real talk, I do still expect the market to be moving up. I want to request for you guys one more time, though. How many of you guys are watching this right now? If you're in the chat, just say hi real quick, just for fun. And if you've not done yet, make sure you press that like button. Whoever told me about the bathtubs, by the way, you are solely responsible for making us hit like a downtrend right here. So screw you, but I love you because at least you had a funny freaking idea. And you made my day by thinking about me buying a bathtub and thinking the logistics of it. So I appreciate you. Just know that. I hate you for making this downtrend work, but I appreciate you for putting this in my head. Because it would be freaking hilarious if I actually get myself a bathtub and a little, how do you call them? Like a little ducky around me, little duck hat. I mean, I always have the fun accessories, right? I told y'all. I'm always ready for whatever's going to happen next. I'm ready to go to the job. I work, by the way, if you guys didn't know that. I actually got myself a new job at the crab factory. So, and then they force you to wear these hats to make sure everybody knows where you're working at. So for all of you that did not know, if you're wondering why do I sometimes have this hat on, it's because I forgot to take it off at work, right? Crypto doesn't pay the bills no more recently. So, I've stepped over to taking things into my own hands. But for all of y'all that are watching this right now, again, this might come as a bit of a strange request, but I'm really going to request you to join the Discord and just get a little high going in there. Just say hi. And the main reason is I don't think anybody here will regret it. I've thought about making it paid, not because to earn, really, because in theory it would not make money anyway, because you have to pay people to, get the info out there. But the only reason I did think about it is because, well, if you make something paid, people actually think there's more value in it than if you make something free. But the reason I don't want it to be paid is because I think paying for these type of things is kind of stupid. Join the Discord, get a little high going, and start talking with some people. If I look back at 8 years ago, when I made the majority of my gains in the crypto market, I should take this freaking stupid hat off. It's really because you have community. It's really because you're talking with people, talking through with strategies. And here, it's a one-way street a little bit. Like in a stream, we can talk a little bit more. I can see the chat. I'm telling you right now, almost every single time, a person that's really thinking their strategies through with other people wins over a person just solely in their head. So I'm going to tell you, if you've not done it yet, join Discord. Link is down below. Just say hi real quick. Ask your question. Maybe nobody will answer, but there's a chance they will. I'm in there too. My analyst is in there too. At least 2 analysts are in there too. Maybe you can get some questions answered. But I personally think you're in your best position if you at least have the option to say some stuff. Zach coming in with a two Australian dollars saying, make your portfolio more liquid, buy the water. I am done. I am done for today. What is wrong with y'all? This is interesting. Oh, all the OGs know your water adventures. I wonder how many people actually have seen me jump in a pool. Because I remember in the Maldives and I remember in, I think, Mauritius. Because there we had in the back. Both the times I had a pool in my back, in the back of the suite, I think, huh? Can I just type in DustyBC pool adventures? Somebody should make a compilation of every single time I went to a pool. If you do, I'll send you something, right? If somebody gives me a compilation of every single time I jumped in the pool, which I think is only twice, but it might have been maybe 4 times, I'll send you a small gift. Do that, all right? So one of you has been tasked. Send it to me. I want to see it. Go find it. Go look. 5 times on this stream. Oh, my God. All right. But, lads, prepare for FOMC next week. Prepare mentally for whatever shenanigans that will bring with it. If you're selling off a little bit in preparation for that event, nobody's going to blame you. Nobody's going to think you're odd. Because if the market does dump down around that day or one time before that, right? Just think about this with me here. If the market does dump around that day or before that, you're quite happy you sold some. If the market moves up like crazy, well, then there's really no more event that's going to cause us to crash for at least another few weeks. So we can actually just kind of double down even afterwards right there. So in reality of sorts, I'm more so even thinking of selling a lot of coins on Monday, around the Monday mark. Very often people say, no, Sunday is the sell day. We'll see about that. I think maybe in preparation for FOMC, indeed, as Monday comes around, a lot of selling is going to be done. Maybe not, though. Again, we don't know. But that's why you sometimes prepare by doing these type of things where I'm not comfortable selling. I don't want to. But ultimately, I'm also being realistic in saying, well, it's not that stupid to sell some off, to see what the decision around FOMC is going to be. If the market reacts positively, we just go even harder at it. If the market moves down, well, at least we were happy we sold some off and we keep the majority of it. TJ says, remember only once. I remember jumping at least 4 times. But I think it's 2 different occasions because I just remember Mauritius and Maldives. And I think I jumped twice both those times. Or it's possible one more stream in Mauritius because I don't remember having a pool in my backyard more than that. I mean, I've had it, but not on stream with it being behind me. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to get that done for y'all. Matter of fact, if XRP pumps like crazy, for all y'all right now, if XRP pumps like crazy, I'll fly to wherever I can find a pool in my backyard. I don't think there's really suites that have it like that in Dubai that are easy because I'm not paying, $10,000 or $20,000 for that. But if it's a few $1,000s, I'll get that done for y'all, all right? Maybe I'll find one in Dubai as well that has a pool in the background. I'll get it done. Don't worry. XRP all-time high. We get it done. We do some crazy stuff. And that was it for today's little stream. We've been here for 1.5 hours. Maybe not too much for some of y'all loyalists. And it's actually the weekend. But for me, weekend, weekday is all the same. I got nothing better to do. But I want to make sure we quickly get our trades up to date. And I got to buy some BNB, some ETH, everything. I got to buy it, like I told y'all. Market-wise, is the best decision? I don't know. But it doesn't really matter because we have our end strategies already placed. So I'm going to be doing that. Ride a camel. I've ridden a camel 15 times. It doesn't get more fun, right? It's a peak with a downward sloping trend of fun. Riding a camel is really cool the first time. As a matter of fact, the second time you know what you're going to do, so it's kind of cool. And then the third to 10th time, it only gets worse. We just had Thomas. Again, for all y'all that do not know, I think Thomas is one of the first people, I think one of the first donators I've ever had, and by far the most consistent XRP supporter, most consistent $5 to $10 donator I've ever had, and also now participating in the Water Dusty Liquidity Fund. So appreciate that. He says, no, not long enough, 10-hour stream. Thomas, I want to quickly say appreciate you for being here throughout all these years. Because out of everybody, all right, TJ and I mean, you guys are a little bit newer, so to speak, for actually talking to the chat so much. I think Thomas is really the number one I can remember throughout all this time. Just want to quickly give you a little shout out. Maybe you guys have been here for 5 years or so, but he stands out. I mean, here's the most consistent person, I think, out of everybody. Maybe not, though. All right, prove me wrong. Maybe you've been. I don't know. But Thomas just stands out to me. Maybe also the logo, right? You can't miss it. You can't miss the freaking Ripple logo. Anyway, guys, appreciate all of you for stopping by and saying hi. Appreciate every single one of you. Just know that. Hopefully, see you guys again another crypto stream somewhere later today. If the market does something crazy, I'll be back right here because I'm not leaving my freaking computer, so it's going to be fine. All right? Cool stuff coming up. Uh-oh. All right. Cool stuff coming up. See you guys again another one.